there. It is 1-1. It's that man, Tim Cahill.
Hello and welcome to Cahill's Corner Flag. I'm Jamie, presenter and co-creator of cahillscornerflag.com. Welcome to the show. We're going to be posting regular video content to the website, so please stay tuned and keep an eye on that. Today I'm pleased to say I'm welcomed on the phone by Paul Wright, a very close friend of mine, Evertonian, who's someone I've been going to games with for the best part of 15, 16 years now. So we're just going to be covering the ins and outs of the club for the past 7 days. So first of all, I'd like to introduce Paul, and if you can give us a little bit of context about when you became an Evertonian, Paul, and some of your idols, or particularly your first game, for example.
I became an Evertonian when I was about 5, and I blame Miss McKenna, who was my classroom teacher at the time, because she made me captain of the blue team, and not surprisingly after that it was always going to be Everton for me. I grew up in Liverpool in the 60s and always supported Everton from then on. I went to my first game, I think I was about 10. I've looked it up in the records and I can't actually find it, but it did honestly exist. My neighbour took me and we beat Fulham. I think.
So who was the first kind of players that you remember following when you were younger?
First players really were around the 66 World Cup.
Okay.
And I remember Ray Wilson playing for England and playing for Everton, obviously. And then we signed Alan Ball straight away after the World Cup, and then that really was the beginning of it all, really. I suppose prior to that, actually my first sort of major memory was the 66 Cup final. Being in tears. My dad had gone, but I obviously watched at home, and being in tears when they were 2-0 down to Sheffield Wednesday, but the actual joy of seeing us win was great, and going down to town, to Lime Street, to see them bring the cup back on Sunday was just a fantastic memory, really, the sort of best introduction to it all, I suppose. So they were my really first memories of it, and Alan Ball was always my favourite player by an absolute country mile. I thought he was marvellous. But never went to many games till I was, in the teens, really. But, outstanding time, really. Lovely period of time as well. And a sense of evenness in the city as well, between Everton and Liverpool. And I'm not sure that exists so much today.
I'm not sure as much now. Going on
to
to some of the breaking news that we've come across at Cahill's Corner Flag this morning has been Martinez's press conference for the Southampton game. So this morning, some interesting quotes coming out of the club as far as John Stones. So I'm just going to read these to you, Paul, and you can give me your opinion on them. He's reiterated his desire not to sell Stones, saying the player's not for sale, that's the end of it. We're really looking forward to seeing the best of John over the next few seasons, not just a few weeks. So what's your opinion on the John Stones saga, and do you think that's a definite he's not for sale, he's not going anywhere?
I hope so. I hope that's the case.
Me too.
You can only... Martinez can only say what he can say about that. He doesn't want to sell him. He's not for sale. But I get really fed up with the level of coverage in the media. I think what Chelsea have done is absolutely disgraceful.
It's appalling, isn't it?
I was in London a few weeks ago reading the Standard when Cahill was quoted as saying, he'd be better off coming here. He'd have a lot more opportunity. Chelsea are a very difficult club to say no to, which I thought was absolutely disgraceful. You have Terry on Sky Sports talking about how the club are looking at the future and how John Stones will be part of that. He's under contract to us, so I think it just shows a complete and utter lack of class on their part.
It's going as far.
Sadly, and this is my going to feel really, I think money talks. I just have this thinking feeling that towards the end of the window, Stones will put a transfer request in. Once he does that, it's game over, really. And I just think it's really sad. And I loathe the Premiership for that, really. This sort of massive divide where it's, one oligarch, one rich billionaire versus another billionaire. And if you haven't got that, then essentially you don't compete, which is disappointing, really. I hope he stays, but there's a large part of me thinks he'll actually go.
I completely agree. I was having this discussion on Twitter the other day with Oliver. And he was going on about the number of English players under the age of 21 that were involved in Premier League football over the weekend, and he suggested that the numbers were so low. It was probably the 5th worst in Europe for the equivalent players that could represent their country. And I was saying, well, why is there a media agenda to get John Stones into Chelsea? It seems all the big clubs and all the media want all the big clubs to have all the best players. And the fact is that at the end of the day, England teams suffer.
I feel England is in danger of becoming a championship team.
Pinnacle used to be representing your country, now it's playing in the Champions League, as we all know. And
when a Pinnacle now is getting as much as you can in the clubs, doing as much as you can in Europe and earning as much, and there we are, really. But a really sad situation. I could say a lot more about this, but maybe for another time.
That's it. But I'm like you, there's a clear media agenda to get John Stones to Chelsea with the likes of Cahill, with the likes of Terry.
Even to the point of other clubs being involved. United wanted to know, City wanted to know. Rio Ferdinand of all
why is he getting involved with it?
He'd be better off playing for United. He'll get a game. It's absolutely disgraceful, this.
What, playing with Jones and Smalling?
All over the place. He looked a bit all over the place against Watford, I thought.
Yeah, well, we'll get onto that in a minute.
It's a shame for us.
Absolutely, but hopefully those quotes from Martinez this morning has hopefully put to bed any chance of John leaving. Deep down, I don't think he will go now. I don't think he's a Lescott type. He's younger than Lescott. He's going to have opportunities to play for a so-called top 4 side down the years. And I think if he has a good season, he goes off to the Euros. He plays in the Euros. He's going to have his pick of 4 or 5 decent clubs. And I know from what I've heard, Barcelona tracked him last summer. And it'd be made for a Barcelona if they talked about the other night about where Everton going. Why has there been no investment? Where's the club going? The last 16 years, Bill Kenwright and the board. I'm not just going to lay this at Kenwright's door, but the way that the club's set up through Blue Blood Holdings, the club aren't able to move forward, and investors clearly A, aren't coming in, or B, aren't interested enough in the club to take it forward. And I think it's a case of Kenwright and the board wanting to hold on to their train set, and it's my train set and I don't want anybody else to play with it, kind of thing. And TalkSport highlighted something that the Liverpool Echo aren't doing at the moment, and looking into behind the scenes at Everton. Why have we only invested 4 million into the first team squad this summer? Why are likes of West Ham, Stoke, Bristol City spending £6 million on Dwight? Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't want Dwight Gale anywhere, but the fact is they've got 6 million to spend and we haven't. Why haven't we done that? And what would you do, Paul, if you had the powers at Everton Football Club? What would you be doing? Would you be looking to get an outside group of people in, like they did at Liverpool, to try and sell the club on behalf of Bill Kenwright, John Woods and Robert Earl and the others who've got their fingers in the pie? What would you be doing?
Well, I think it's slightly complicated.
Of course,
at the moment,
absolutely.
I get this awful feeling that from what you hear, I know it's an awful lot of rumour, but Kenwright isn't particularly well.
I know, and
I wonder whether that is impacting on decision making and what's going on at the club. And I wish him.
We all wish him. We wish him a speedy recovery. Yeah, absolutely.
But I really do feel the time has come now when he's got to let go for the good of the club.
Absolutely,
because. We're just going nowhere now.
We're going backwards.
I've always been very cautious, and I've always been a sort of tacit supporter of Kenwright, really, being an Evertonian and all of that. And I've always felt that he did have the best interest of the club at heart, and certainly in terms of buying Johnson out, that was the case in point. But I just think enough is enough now. It has just moved on too far from having this sort of situation. I mean, even the English-based clubs. I mean, the guy at Stoke runs the betting corporation. This is 365, I think it is.
Yeah, that's the one.
And Kenwright doesn't have that financial clout anymore.
No, he never has. I
do feel that's where we're struggling. We can survive on the Sky money.
That's all we're doing.
On the Sky money, but we're never ever going to take it forwards. And I think. There comes a point when you've got to say enough's enough now, and we really do need to get some new investments in and really get a new owner. I read somewhere on Toffee Web that there was an American consortium still in the pipeline, and I do feel, for the good of everyone and for the good of the club, that it needs to move forward, and we do need a change of ownership.
Absolutely.
But, you know, I guess there is a reluctance on his part to let go. He's certainly not looking 24/7 for investors.
It's just sound bites, isn't it? It's just absolute sound bites.
I don't know, a really difficult one to answer, but I do feel that we need to change now. We've just about reached the end of the road. I think.
Absolutely. Now, as we said, with the fact that teams like Stoke and West Ham are seen as a more attractive proposition than a 9 times fourth most successful club in the country as far as league titles is concerned, there's clear problems. I think what the fans are more concerned about at the moment is we're standing still, other teams are overtaking us, but there's literally no transparency from the club to supporters or what's going on. Is the fact that they're not? I'm
not even sure we're standing still, Jamie.
We're going backwards, obviously,
a little bit backwards.
But we're treading water, aren't we? Yeah.
In the days of Moyes, you know, we were not guaranteed, but it was likely, I think with the exception of one season, that we finished within the top 10, hopefully, you know, around 7. Yeah. And, you know, sometimes a little bit higher. But now, you know, there was something on the other day saying that who do ever need to buy to finish in the top 10?
Yeah, I know, that's just like top 10.
That's where we're heading. You know, we'll be lucky to finish in the top 10, particularly based on the performance last Saturday. And, you know, I don't feel confident for the first time ever that we will finish in the top 10. I think my expectations are, sadly, that we'll finish, hopefully, somewhere between 10th and 15th. I think there are clubs worse than us, but I do worry about the start we've got. You know, these first 10 games could see us down there, and it's often difficult to escape from there then. And it does concern me, I must be honest.
At the moment, Martinez says he wants 3 new signings in. 3 new signings for the end of the transfer window. You're in his boots. If we have got some money, which we've got to have some money knocking about. The Sky deal came in the 1st of August, so there should be some money in the Everton account to get some signings in. So if you're Martinez and you're backed by Ken Wright, who do you bring in?
I think we definitely need a centre-half.
Yeah, no doubt.
You can't let Distan and Alcaraz go and not replace them.
God knows why. It's just praying down.
We really need something different in midfield. We really need creativity. Yeah. Someone with a bit of creativity in midfield to take it forward. And I really do feel we need another striker as well. And if we had a bit of money, I wouldn't mind a goalie, but I mean, you know, maybe that's for the year after. To see how we're sort of seeing this through. I'm not convinced by Robles. So they will be certainly 3 as a spine of a team. In terms of who we have, well, crikey, you know, I mean, you know, I know what I'd like to have, but I know we can't afford that. But I mean, I do feel the guy at Celtic, the centre half,
I've
seen him play quite a bit for Celtic, admittedly in the Scottish Premiership. But I think he could be a good player for us. In terms of a forward, crikey, I'm not convinced by Charlie Austin. No. I'm really not. But equally, I couldn't give you a reasonable alternative to that. And I'd love the guy, Sergio Roberto, but I think our chances of getting him are absolutely nil. Yeah, absolutely. So I know what I'd like to have, but actually naming people to fit those bills, I'm not sure.
Yeah, as you said, I know we've been linked to Austin and Van Dijk in the past week or so, and obviously Shaqiri was, apparently we agreed a fee, but he's chose Stoke ahead of us, as we touched on previously.
But wasn't that because we only wanted to loan him?
By all accounts, we wanted a loan with an option.
Yeah, which I can't get, really. He's a bit of an in-and-out character, isn't he? But
and we didn't want to take a risk, did we?
Have a permanent deal, weren't they?
No, absolutely. And I guess from his point of view, he wanted a bit of security and he wanted to know where he was going to be in a year's time. But I also know that Stoke had put into his contract that he's got a buyout clause if a Champions League club comes in. So that was obviously more attractive to him, knowing that if he does well at Stoke, there might be a chance that a big top 4 British club might come in for him, or he might just draw attention to himself going back and playing in Central Europe somewhere. I'm not too sure, but as you said, we need a centre forward. Like, if we're not going to go and get this magic number 10 that he goes on about, we need to go and buy goals, because we didn't score enough goals last season. And
who would you have then? Who do you think we should have up front?
I don't know, like, I'd go and get... I'm not convinced with Charlie Austin. I've heard some rumours about him having a lack of cartilage in his knee, and he's got shoulder problems. Apparently he failed a medical at Hull. a couple of seasons ago, and QPR signed him against the recommendations of doctors. So they took a chance on him. A chance that paid off last season, I suppose. He scored. I think he was the second top scorer in Premier League as far as British strikers were concerned. So he scored goals in the Premier League. But as you said, who's out there? Who's out there that we can afford? I think we might take a chance on some loan, perhaps, and bring in some lad on loan.
I think that's the most likely outcome. I think we might get, but there might be one signing, one permanent.
So as far as the Watford game, you touched on it before. It was so similar to last season in every.
It was. I thought, I gave it 2 halves, but
of course,
really. I thought the first half was extremely disappointing. I felt that we had a lot of meaningless possession, really.
As last season.
I do worry when you're just playing one up front against Watford.
And 2 holding midfielders.
I do feel that where this idea of playing 2 defensive midfield players, really doesn't create anything.
At home against Watford.
I think teams have seen how that works, and we're so easy to play against.
Absolutely.
And then just hit us on the break. And that's exactly what Watford did, really, particularly in the first half. And they looked quite dangerous going forward.
They did.
Had all the possession under the stuff, but never really created an awful lot, if I'm being honest. I thought we were better second half. I thought second half we looked a bit more positive. Great goal from Barkley. Really nice to see.
Fantastic finish, wasn't it?
It was an absolutely magnificent effort. And, fair play to Conan when he came on. I thought he did okay, actually. I thought that was the best I'd seen him play.
Without doubt. The stick that we've given him.
Took his goal well. Good movement with McCarthy into the goal. Signs of a little bit of positive there, but crikey, I still feel we need reinforcements in that area. We can't rely on those 2.
Not at all. We're 3 or 4 players short. And just going back to the first half, as you said, teams have worked us out. And they've worked us out last season. And the new season mentality coming into a fresh season, you think things might be different. We'll hit the ground running. We'll score goals. We'll look dynamic. We'll pass the ball quick. We'll look to get in behind. But there was none of that whatsoever. It was just, I said to Dad the other day, it was just like the Leicester game at the back end of last season when we drew 2-2. They let us have the ball. They were quite comfortable. They packed the midfield. They had 5 in the middle, made it hard for us. Not to mention, they had 6 new players playing for the first time in a competitive game on Saturday.
They were a new team, weren't
they? And they looked like
they played together.
Absolutely.
For an awful long time.
Doubt.
In many ways, in the first half, it was also looked like the strangers to one another.
We didn't know what we were doing.
I think someone said somewhere, we've learned nothing.
Of course,
the old adage came out, you do exactly the same thing, you get exactly the same result. Both those views are right. That's exactly what it appeared to me and how it appeared to be. I'm disappointed, really, because that was a game that we really should, prior to the start of it, was one that you really wanted us to win.
You want to hit the ground running,
we have. The games that we've got are really, I feel, quite difficult. Playing last year's top 7, within the first 10 games is really a hard start. As someone said to me, God, you've upset someone, haven't you? Getting that start. And, it's often difficult to overcome that start, which makes that game much more important.
That's when you think,
the first game of the season, given what's going to come up from now on.
Absolutely. So certainly the negatives was the way that we set up, that we weren't dynamic enough, we didn't pass the ball quick enough. Obviously, the positives, try and turn it on its head. We got a draw when we probably shouldn't have done. I was saying, I was tweeting after the game, it's a point gained. As much as that sounds really defeatist, we've got to be beating Watford. It's a point gained.
In the context of the game, I totally agree with that. I honestly thought when we got it back to 1-1, hopefully we'd go on from there.
Yeah, but, we thought we should have gone on.
Dreadful second goal. We just absolutely appalling defended for it. Really done easily. And in the end, as you say, a good point to get it back to 2-2. But
we keep saying the main thing about Martinez is he continues to do the same thing over and over again, and things don't change. So you think, well, if it doesn't work, I've got to think of a different way of playing. I must admit, second half was a different Everton. We played more long balls or straightforward direct passes the second half on Saturday than we did.
I think the key to that,
all of last season,
was actually the substitution of the left back, taking Galloway off and actually moving Barry into like a left back, breaking up this ultra defensive central central midfield pair.
To a bit more of a dynamic, fluid, yeah.
I can kind of get it sometimes when you're playing away, you know, fine. But, I mean, playing like that at home really does, you know, put a lot more pressure on any sort of offensive player that you've got. Because you've got so many, you know, you've got 7 of your team who are essentially in a defensive role. Okay, the full-back should be going on if you're going to play like that.
Yeah.
But, you know, they don't do it as much somehow. You know, and teams have got wise to it as well. They kind of just really limit the way you can play. But there we are.
It's just frustrating. It's like we say the word frustration is not the word, but it is with Martinez. And I'd like to think he's gonna, at some point, the penny might drop, and we might go back to being a bit more expansive and look to get behind teams and get rid of the two holding midfield.
We've got enough wingers, haven't we? They never seem to do it. You know, I don't know. I just think it's a really limited way of playing, to be honest.
News. We'll go away from the game last week. Positive news was McCarthy and Mirallas at the start of last week signing new deals. So what's your opinion on both of them signing new deals?
I think that, you know, I think it's good long term. I think McCarthy's a good player. I think all teams need someone like McCarthy to play. You know, I think he does phenomenally well in getting around the pitch. I think he does all the quiet stuff, the blocking, the tackling, the running. I think that's excellent. But I think you need far more creativity that we've got. Yeah. You know, you're not going to get an awful lot out of McCarthy going forward.
Of course not, no.
You know, he doesn't score enough. He doesn't get forward enough. He's not particularly offensive. But, I mean, I think, you know, in days of Peter Reid and all that, you know, you need
players like that in your team, don't you? Yeah.
Players who can kind of set it up for others as well. The problem is when you're playing with Barry, I do feel it really limits what we've got. But I'm pleased that we've got him. I'm pleased that he's staying. I think he certainly will be a positive influence on the team moving forward. I think Mirallas is caught between two stools really, because I'm not convinced he actually wants to be here. You know, the talk of him wanting to play for a Champions League team, I think if he'd have got a decent offer, he'd have gone. But clearly he didn't. I think the best he did was West Ham. And that was it. So I think he's sort of bit the bullet and thought, right, okay, look, at least I'm playing in a good level in the Premier League. I don't think I'm going to go forward from that. So I do feel it's a bit of a pragmatic solution on his part, really. I'm not 100% convinced he actually wants to be here, no matter what he says. But there we are.
I think it's certainly very positive that he signed new deals. I thought Mirallas was going to leave in the summer. I really did. But I think, as he's just touched on, it just cries of a lack of interest. I don't think there was half the teams that he probably thought might be in for him. Because let's be honest, he's very hit and miss. He doesn't always deliver. When he delivers on his day, he's as good as anybody about.
I think he's one of the few exciting players
that we've got. Absolutely.
I wish he did it a bit more, really.
That's it, he's just too inconsistent.
I mean, the performance he put in the Cup replay.
Just about to say, absolutely.
You know, he was almost unplayable at times.
He came on and changed the game.
You know, why aren't you like that all the time?
Absolutely.
You know, I think he does drift in and out.
Absolutely.
And he's a bit of a sick note.
And injury prone as well, absolutely.
I think, and he's always going to be like that. But, you know, honest day, a fantastic player, and one that, you know, genuinely you think, oh, crikey, he's really good to watch, and we haven't got many of them, really, have we?
No, we need a few more of him. We need a few more players like him. Yeah, we need a few more players like him who are going to excite the fans, who are going to look to get behind and beat a man and put a ball in or have a shot from 30 yards. We've got enough players who pass it sideways and look to just move the play onto somebody else, but we need a couple more like him. We've got Southampton Saturday. How do you think we'll go about setting up? Obviously, Southampton on the back of a 2-2 draw against Newcastle last week. They look quite good going forward. Not particularly great defensively, but we could say the same thing about ourselves. They've got a Europa League game next Thursday as well, so they might have one eye on that against some Norwegian Midtjylland team. So it should be pretty straightforward for them. But they have one eye on that. They looked a bit exposed at the back, as I touched on, and we need to be able to stretch them. What's your feelings behind Saturday? Are you confident?
I was at Southampton last year.
Oh, were you? Never mind.
One of the most embarrassing, frustrating performances I saw from an Everton team. Okay for half an hour, fairly nondescript performance. Southampton scored from a corner after about 30 odd minutes, I think. And then after that, we did absolutely nothing. And And, I worry that there was no changes that day.
No, he didn't make a subs all day, did he? 3-0 down.
The Everton support was magnificent. They filled their section, and, I was in with the Southampton supporters, and I was embarrassed being an Evertonian who showed nothing. And the guy in front of me saying, God, these are rubbish. Wish we played these every week. And I'm thinking, you're right. And I fear that, it'll be exactly the same setup on Saturday. I am quite worried about it. This is the beginning of our series of difficult games. I really honestly think we need to get something out of this. We need to get at least a point out of this.
I think I'd take a point now,
last year, then we're never ever going to get
obviously,
a point from it.
We've heard the news in the last week that Leighton Baines looks like he's going to be out for quite a period of time. And Galloway came in last week. He was great defensively because that's his game. He's a defensive. He's a central defender by trade. So defensively, he was great. Coming forward, he didn't want to get in behind. He didn't want to get forward.
Yeah,
so
I think we'd be better off playing off the Ado.
Absolutely. I was just about to say.
No offence to Galloway. I think he's going to be.
He's going to be a good player. Yeah, absolutely.
But I think in this time being, in terms of offering things, I think Oviedo will be a better option at left back. I thought he looked a bit more positive when he came on last week, and I think that's really the way forward.
Obviously, Southampton are a very well-drilled side. I like Ronald Koeman a lot. I think he's got his own stamp on the side now. He's brought a lot of lads in from the Dutch league, and they look like they like playing for him. And that's one of my fears about Van Dijk. I think Van Dijk will probably go to Southampton. If it was a choice out of us in Southampton 4 or 5 years ago, he wouldn't even be a choice. But now with the Dutch connections and the draw that Ronald Koeman gives you.
We were talking about, didn't it, really, how far we've gone backwards. And now the teams have caught us up, and in many ways
more attractive. Yeah, that's
financially.
So
that's another reflection of that, isn't it?
Yeah. So so your prediction, and going for a prediction, I think it's going to be a 2-2 draw. I think we'll get a point out of it, but as long as we look to be more attacking and more dynamic than we were against Watford, otherwise it could be a long afternoon.
My heart says we might sneak it 1-0.
All right.
My head says we'll get beat 2-0 without doing and showing an awful lot.
Okay, brilliant. So
I'm sorry to be.
No, it's all right. That's
how I feel about it.
I always try and be positive until kickoff starts, and then I think
you're better than me for that. I've been an Evertonian too long.
No, you've been an Evertonian a lot longer than I have. Unfortunately, fortunately for you, you've seen a lot of more positive days than I have. But I don't know how I stay positive.
As well, I think like the Evertonians of my generation.
Oh yeah.
Remember times that were really good, and we hark back to the mid-80s, but they were magnificent times. And I find this quite hard, really. I find it quite hard to see, and I worry that unless something changes, the club is in a state of decline, and it's going to be one that's going to be difficult to get out of.
Talking about situations difficult to get out of, what do you think for the next 10 games after? Well, not the next 8 games. The first 10 games, we've gone Watford at home, draw.
Yeah.
Southampton. So I'll give you the fixtures we've got coming up. We got Southampton away. We got City at home. Spurs away. There's an international break, and then there's Chelsea at home, Swansea away, West Brom away, Liverpool at home, United at home, and Arsenal away at the first 10 games.
Wow.
Where do you think the first win's coming from?
Hope that we can beat one of the big boys at home. If we could get a result against City or Chelsea, particularly Chelsea, especially with what's gone on, I think it'll be
brilliant,
a really, hopefully, amazing atmosphere.
Yeah, it'll be nasty, won't it? Just what we want,
And that will lift the players, and they'll be determined to want to do something. I think if we could get a victory against one of the big boys at home and get a couple of points away, I think that would stand us in good stead. My big fear is that we just fall short completely, and we're left rooted down.
For me, I've done a prediction on this, and I've gone draw against Southampton Saturday. I think we'll get a point against City at home. I've gone loss away to Spurs because our record at White Hart Lane most recently is appalling. Chelsea at home, I think we'll get beat. Swansea away, I think we'll get a point. I think we'll beat West Brom away. I think that's going to be our first win of the season at West Brom.
Well, I hope it is. I really do. And I hope we've got one before that.
Oh, I hope so too.
I hope so too. Win one of the big games. I'm hoping that
hopefully we'll be up for that, and up for the big occasion. They'll be on Sky.
We do well against City. opportunity as well. You know, I know they beat us last year, but
we've got a point at home against them last season, so let's hope we can get the same result again.
Yeah.
And I think we'll draw against Liverpool and United, and we'll lose at Arsenal because we quite often lose at Arsenal. We'll be good for.
I can't remember the last time we won at Arsenal.
I've never seen us win at Arsenal.
I've never seen us win there in 1987. I don't know if we won since. I'm sure we have.
I think the only time we've won at Arsenal, Andre Kanchelskis and Graham Stewart scored, so that tells you how long ago that was. I think it was 1996, I think.
Wayne Clark scored from an appalling free kick, a goal kick from John Lukic. Clark picked it up and just lobbed it over him from 25 yards, and that was when we won the league in '87. We beat them comfortably. Then the week after, we beat Chelsea 3-1.
The run that we've got is absolutely appalling. The teams that we play and when we play them is appalling. But November and December shows a bit of light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
We play 6 out of the 8 teams we play, we finished above them last season. They all finished in the bottom half. So
hopefully we can turn it round there, won't we? You know, but I mean, I think, you know, if you're asking me hand on heart where we'll come, you know, I've said to you before, I think the mid-table is really the best that we can achieve. I think the top 6 are sorted already. You know, and I think there's probably the likes of Southampton and Swansea. And possibly even West Ham, who might, you know, be up there as well, and you know that really puts us, you know, mid-table at best, really, and you know, it's such a shame.
We certainly when we get through these 10 fixtures, as you said, if we can pick up a win or 2 against one of the top sides, will give us confidence going into those lesser games. But if we don't get results, from the November and December fixtures, I think the pressure is going to start telling on the manager. He's got a big 3 weeks. If we can get through these fixtures and pick up a few points, bring in the players that we need before the transfer window closes, then we will be in a stronger position. But say come December, A, we haven't brought those players in, B, the fixtures and results haven't gone his way, I think then the pressure is going to be on the manager. So what are your thoughts?
I don't think he's the right person for the club at all. I think he's embarrassed when he talks. I thought he was an embarrassment on Monday Night Football and didn't really understand what he was trying to say, you know, with Breda Britt and Jamie Carragher. You know, I thought he absolutely slaughtered it, quite honestly. And I have real concerns about the manager. The players seem to think, okay, you know, they
do they
play for him, you know, or stay. But I do really worry about it. I do really worry about where we're going. I think the combination of the lack of money from the board. I think that we had a fantastic first start, real bounce with new blood in the club. Yeah. But really, I think we've gone backwards since then.
I think we have.
I worry that we'll go even further backwards.
He's got
with him in charge. He doesn't inspire me whatsoever, and I feel more and more embarrassed when he comes out and talks. I never really understand what he's saying. I'm sure it's a language thing too, but you know, I never really understand what he's talking about, and it just really concerns me. I'll come back to where I started. I think he's a bit of a charlatan, if I'm being honest.
For me, it's a huge season. If we finish in the bottom half, we have abysmal cup runs like we did last season in both domestic cups, then I think the pressure's going to be heaped on him. Last season, the pressure was turning. The fans were starting to turn, especially on social media, where you kind of gauge an idea of how fans' opinion on different situations, and they were starting
I think people are struggling to be positive, to be honest. I think people want to be positive. You always do, don't you? But I think more and more, you know, people are finding it difficult, and I think this summer sums it up, really, the sort of lack of investment, you know, the Tom and Jerry jokes, and it all kind of puts a club in decline. You know, really, how embarrassing that nonsense that is TalkSport, you know,
I know
about the problems at Everton, you know, when really you'd be talking about, you know, a successfully run club and, you know, a club moving forward, and it's
I don't think the wider media, and I think the local media and the Liverpool Echo don't have a key understanding of what's really going on. They certainly don't report that they know what's going on.
Echo.
I don't really read it anymore. But
you know, the football stuff, and you look at you know, the top 10 sports stories. You know, 8 of them are about Liverpool, aren't they?
Yeah, of course. I know.
You go on their website, and it's all about Liverpool, and that is just so wrong.
I know, because
so wrong. The coverage of Everton in the Echo is just a disgrace, quite frankly.
From a media point of view, you can understand, because for the media now, it's all about clicks on their website, and Liverpool fans are going to click on the website more times than Everton fans, because let's be honest, they got a bigger fan base than us, all the Chinese and Norwegians and all sorts. But it'd be nice to be represented a little bit by the local media, and Liverpool
I think there should be, in local media, there's got to be a sense of fairness, isn't there? And a sense of equity. And there isn't that anymore. But it's shameful, really. Yeah. I think the local media, I'm not saying national, but local media, have a responsibility to
report what's going on. Yeah.
And you don't get that from the Echo, do you? It's a disgrace.
What makes me laugh is when Hicks and Gillette were in Liverpool, the Echo sponsored a protest. They were reporting, the front page of the Echo was reporting it's a disgrace, get these people out of the club. Where are they now, these people that are trying who should be reporting on the issues at Everton and the boardroom fiasco and the lack of investment, and they're supposed to be selling the club for 16 years? If this had been Liverpool, they'd be reporting it 24/7, wouldn't they? But the fact it's little old Everton from the opinion...
that breeds disparity, doesn't it?
Yeah,
that breeds the fact that, in my day when I was a kid growing up, it was about 50-50. Yeah. Really, maybe not, but very close to it in terms of support. And now, I don't live in Liverpool anymore, but I would guess that that evenness, that sense of fairness doesn't exist anymore.
Finishing on a positive note, let's hope we get a result at St Mary's. And then we're looking up the table rather than over our shoulders.
That would be wonderful, wouldn't it? It would be absolutely fantastic. I hope they do. I won't be there, but I shall be watching on BT, I think, and I hope that we can manage to get something. I shall be really hoping we do cheering us on, but crikey, I think it's a tough ask, if I'm being honest.
Well, fingers crossed we can get a result. So thanks for watching, and come on you Blues on Saturday.
Absolutely. Come on, you Blues.